Most generations struggle, but some struggle loudly, with visible enemies and clear turning points. This generation struggles quietly, because this is the first generation that followed the blueprint exactly as it was given, and still ended up questioning whether the blueprint was real. If you were born between 1981 and 1996, you were raised inside a promise. Work hard, get educated, stay ambitious, be patient, and life will stabilize. That wasn't just encouragement, it was positioned as cause and effect. Effort equals outcome, discipline equals reward. But somewhere between graduation and adulthood, the equation changed. You didn't become less capable. The environment became less predictable. You prepared for stability and walked into instability. You were trained for long-term growth and entered a world of short-term contracts. And when the results didn't match the effort, something subtle began happening inside you. Not laziness, not entitlement. A fracture between expectation and reality. Psychologically, that fracture creates tension. You hold two opposing beliefs at the same time. I am competent and hardworking, and I am falling behind. The brain does not like contradiction, so it searches for a conclusion. And too often, the conclusion becomes self-blame. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I chose wrong. Maybe everyone else figured something out that I didn't. That internal pressure builds quietly. You don't collapse, you compensate. You overwork, you upskill, you optimize. You turn your life into a continuous improvement project. At the same time, you became the first generation required to publicly perform your progress. With the rise of platforms like Facebook and Instagram, adulthood stopped being private. Milestones became announcements. Success became visible metrics. Comparison stopped being occasional and became ambient. You weren't just building a life, you were watching everyone else build theirs in real time. Even if you logically knew it was curated, your nervous system still processed it as evidence. This created a strange state, suspended adulthood. You want the stability, the home, the partnership, the sense of arrival, but the entry cost keeps rising. Rent climbs, education debt lingers, job markets shift, so you wait. Not because you lack desire, but because the timing never feels financially safe. And that waiting creates a low-grade stress response. You are constantly preparing for a future milestone that keeps moving further away. Older generations may interpret this as impatience or lack of loyalty, but what looks like restlessness is often adaptation. You watched industries restructure. You saw pensions disappear. You witnessed companies prioritize efficiency over tenure. So you adjusted, you diversified skills, you changed jobs, you treated employment as strategic rather than emotional. Not because you wanted instability, but because stability stopped guaranteeing safety. Then comes the deeper psychological shift, the disruption of fairness. Many millennials were raised with the belief that the system, while imperfect, ultimately rewarded merit. Over time, that belief eroded. You began noticing gaps between effort and outcome, between qualification and compensation, between contribution and recognition. When a core belief about how the world works fractures, it doesn't just change your opinions. It changes your emotional baseline. Hope becomes cautious. Optimism becomes conditional. That's why many in this generation feel both idealistic and cynical at the same time. You care deeply about justice, climate, equality, and mental health. Yet you also carry a quiet skepticism about institutions and promises. You want to improve the system, but you no longer fully trust it. That internal contradiction is exhausting. It requires constant recalibration between belief and realism. If you feel chronically tired, it may not be age. It may be cognitive load. You have been navigating rapid technological change, economic volatility, and social comparison simultaneously. You are managing debt while managing identity. You are building careers while redefining what success even means. That is not weakness. That is adaptation under pressure. You are not broken for feeling disoriented. You are responding normally to an abnormal transition period. The map you were given no longer matches the terrain you're walking, and realizing that doesn't make you defective. It makes you aware. Awareness is heavy, but it is also the first step toward redefining the rules instead of unconsciously chasing outdated ones.